So what can you do? What can you do? Does anyone know the right answer to this question? Longtime storage rebels?
It seems like you just have to grow your hair really long.
That's one option. Anyone else?
It depends. Be yourself.
It depends. I think I heard it in the back from Brent. No. Okay? No. This is my presentation. We're not using Mike's tagline. I'm going to give you an even more lame answer. It is I don't know. Like, our limiting beliefs come from such deep places in like our hearts and our minds. Like, we probably all need to go to counseling to start to figure out how to overcome some of this stuff. But I'm not going to leave you hanging. I've got some ideas on maybe not how to fix your limiting beliefs, not how to overcome them per se, but how to get on the right path to find those answers and to start, making the life that you want for yourself. So back to the Pareto principle. This is what I want to leave with you today. Flip your 80-20. I'm going to go through a couple things. All of these aren't going to apply to everyone. Some of you are nailing every one of these things. But if you can identify something where right now your 80-20 is in the wrong orientation, maybe we can start to move towards a better destination. Action over analysis. This one's great for beginners. This was definitely me. I was spending 80% of my time in analysis. Like, I came from an engineering background, so doing things right was important, details were important, knowing the process was important. So that it took me like a year of learning storage, then I started the Storage Rebellion, then it took me 18 months. Like, in that time, I helped other people buy deals. I knew how to find the deals, I knew how to analyze the deals, I knew like half of how to operate the deals before I even had one, because I was just like in this education analysis mode, and the hard stuff was really hard to do. So yes, you need this 20. You need to start probably with some education. You don't have to, but I would recommend getting a little bit of education. But if you are seeing this and are thinking, man, maybe I need to flip this, it might be time to start taking action more than just education. Time over money. Like I said, this is one right now I'm just starting to implement. I just hired an operations manager last week. I just started training an acquisitions guy last week to really make this switch. Like, you can say that you believe time's more important than money. Like, probably everyone in this room will say, yeah, like obviously time is the one resource you have a finite amount of. It's the most important thing. But if you really believed it, you would be acting like it. So just because we think we believe it doesn't mean we're actually believing that time is the best asset. So maybe these two people aren't costing me a lot of money, but they're freeing up a lot of time that I can do other stuff. So if you're in that phase of your business where maybe you're doing everything and you don't have a lot of time, maybe it's time to flip your 80-20. Systems and people over tasks, this is kind of the same thing. If you are doing a lot of repetitive stuff and you like doing that because like, yeah, I got my task list, like I feel like I did a lot today because I did like all these tasks, but it's something that you could be systematizing and doing in like an automated way, then it might be time to flip that. Start spending time on your systems and time on your people so that you can not have to do that stuff long term. Give over take. The stuff's starting to get a little deeper, okay? Yes, if you're here for the first time, by all means, do your 20%. You can take. That's why we're here. Like, you don't have to feel bad about that. You can still give some things from your life experience. If you have know nothing about storage, I can still learn a lot from you, from your life experience, from your business experience. But once you get to the point where in your business where you can really start to pour out and start to give to other people, maybe it's time to flip your 80-20. I can be like prone to this where I've got an issue and I'm like, oh, let's call somebody. Like, this person will probably have the answer to my question. And what I'm trying to do, hopefully after this retreat, is just start connecting with people, seeing how I can give, because it's time for me to flip my 80-20 on this and start to give more than I take. Community over isolation. This is probably the biggest one. All of us in this room, like, this is a big step towards flipping this, but we're like entrepreneurs. We're all here because we're entrepreneurs. We're kind of weird. We're lone wolves. We're doing stuff that people think is crazy, and that takes like for most of it, it takes a lot of isolation to do that. It takes a lot of grinding out when other people wouldn't do that. And that's great to get started, but eventually you're gonna burn out if you're not in community. All right, and I was joking, Mike called me out on this earlier today. I was like, man, look at that seat way in the back and like the niche where no one can even see you. I was like, that's the ultimate seat. And like 10 minutes earlier, I had sent him my intake form that was like, basically community is the most important thing. And he's like, yeah, it kind of goes against what your intake form said. But like that's my, like I have to be careful of this because that's my tendency. How many people, like you come away from stuff like this feeling energized? Right? About half, Mike. That's the answer to how many people enjoy these. Just kidding. But like you come away from a call feeling energized or you come away from a meetup feeling energized. I'm that way. And even then, I don't want to go to the next one before it starts because I've gotten back into that funk of isolation. Like, oh man, I'm an introvert. Like I got to go talk to all these people, like hang out with all these people. And I make myself go. And then sure enough, I come out on the other side invigorated. I can like get stuff done. I've got new ideas, new systems. So making sure we're flipping our 80-20 to like hit all of these things you can. The calls. I'm fortunate to be in an area where there are a lot of storage rebels, so we can meet up in person. You know, my epiphany that the ops manager was under my nose was from meeting with Chris and Joe in Rochester, and some ideas about the acquisitions guy was when I was with another group of investors. So like take the time to get in community, whether it's group calls or just like calling people up, staying connected. One thing in particular about community over isolation that I kind of was thinking about as I was preparing this was you can literally not make a change in your life without some sort of external influence. Like these fears we talk about, like a scarcity mentality, you can't know that that exists unless someone tells you it exists or you read that it exists or like you hear that it exists. So if you're not hanging around with people that are gonna call this stuff out in you, if you're not doing like podcasts, listening or reading books, like you can't make changes in your life because you don't know what you don't know. Like you don't know these things are going wrong with you unless someone's there to call them out. So I loved how Josh kind of started us off with like being present at this thing, and really encourage you to do that because this stuff is gonna, like I said, it's not like an answer, like this is how you overcome fear of failure, but if you start to flip your 80-20 and prioritize the right thing, the nice thing about a lot of these is it's not an either or. Like if you start to flip your 80-20 to favor time over money, you're probably actually gonna make more money than you did when you were prioritizing money. That's just how it works. If you start to give more than you take, you're actually gonna receive more than when you were just trying to take. So it's not a compromise, it's like an acceleration of living your best life. So